All right, Rangers fans, sit down for this one. Because yes, we're through to the next round of the UEFA Champions League qualifiers. But let's not pretend it was anything close to convincing. The 1-1 draw in Athens might read like a good result on paper, especially with a 3-1 aggregate win over Panathinaikos. But the truth is, if you watch that game, really watched it, you'll know exactly why there's concern brewing among the support. This is the kind of game that gives you that weird feeling of relief and dread at the same time. We're through, but are we really ready? Now look, no one's here to be the permanent downer. Rangers got the job done. That's the bare minimum. We're still standing in the Champions League qualifiers, and that means a lot financially and in terms of ambition. But let's not insult our own intelligence. That second leg was slow and inspired and at times downright poor. It lacked the bite, the aggression, and the intensity you'd expect from a team fighting for European football at the highest level. Let's be brutally honest here. Panathinaikos, for long stretches of the game, looked more likely to score than we did. They had 20 shots, 6 of those were on target. Compare that to Rangers, who had 10 attempts with just 3 hitting the target. That's half the volume, half the danger. And when you're a club like Rangers with the kind of expectations we carry, that simply isn't good enough. Especially when you consider the individual talent in our squad. Yes, we had more possession, 57% to be exact. Yes, we outpassed them, 454 passes to their 331. But all of that means absolutely nothing if we're not creating chances, if we're not hurting teams. Possession without purpose is just stat padding, and that's what this game felt like. Too much passing in safe areas. Not enough urgency, not enough penetration, not enough belief. And let's talk about the defending, because if Panathinaikos had their shooting boots on, they could have buried us. 3 or 4 goals would not have been out of the question. The defensive shape was chaotic. Max Aaron shoved out to the left side, again looked completely out of place. And that's no dig at the player himself. He's a right back. A good one at that. But on the left, he looks like a deer in headlights. Then you've got John Sutar playing out of position again on the left of central defense. Why he's a right-sided centre-back is not rocket science. These decisions are costing us solidity at the back. And I can't ignore James Tavernier. Now, I know this is where things get sensitive, but I'm just calling it as I saw it. That was one of the poorest performances I've seen from him in a long time. Positionally lost, sloppy on the ball, not effective going forward. He was part of the mess that led to Panathinaikos' goal, completely losing his man. And there was no sense of recovery, no sense of leadership. His rating across several platforms was shockingly low, and honestly, it felt justified. We need our captain to lead, not drift. Amongst the back four, only Leon Belogan looked remotely composed, and even then he wasn't exceptional. Just passable. Jack Butland, though, outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. This guy kept us in the tie. Simple as that. Without those big saves, we're not talking about progression today. We're talking about failure. And to see people online digging him out is just madness. I mean, there's always going to be that small section of fans who look for someone to blame, but let's be real. Butland's the reason we're still alive in this tournament. The midfield, to be fair, wasn't awful. Rothwell had moments where he tried to control the tempo. A few nice touches here and there, but again felt like he faded in and out of the match. Raskin had one of the better games. Broke lines, made some aggressive runs, and was involved in a play that led to the JD Gassama goal. But even he wasn't at his absolute best. It was a midfield performance that felt solid but unspectacular. Enough to hold the line, but not enough to drive the team forward with real purpose. And now we need to talk about the elephant in the room, Kieran Dowell. Because I don't know how to say this without sounding brutal, but what does he actually do? I mean that genuinely. I watched him for over an hour on that pitch, and it felt like we were playing with 10 men. No impact, no drive, no attacking threat, no defensive cover, just a passenger. His rating 2.8, and I'd argue that was generous. If that's a wide option, if that's someone we're relying on to create something, then we're in trouble. And the biggest question is, why does he keep starting? What is Russell Martin seeing in training that's not translating to match day? It's especially frustrating when you look at what JD Gassama brought off the bench. The guy's a live wire, came on, changed the dynamic instantly, and scored a brilliant goal. Aggressive, sharp, clinical, everything we've been lacking in that final third. He has to start against Motherwell. There's no debate there. If Dowell starts over Gassama this weekend, serious questions need to be asked. Because at some point, persistence with underperformers starts to look like stubbornness, not strategy. Finlay Curtis up top struggled too. He works hard, no question. Tracks. Back puts in a shift, but never really looked like scoring. Dan Oleko, on the other hand, was actually one of the few bright spots. He had 2 decent efforts that eventually led to Gassama's goal, and you can tell he's still trying to find his rhythm. The service to him was poor, and still he looked like someone willing to drop deep and make things happen. He's not the complete answer yet, but at least there's intent. And then there's Desers. Oh, Desers. A player who will infuriate you to no end. He's the definition of frustrating. The guy gets into the right areas. He makes the right runs. He even gets one-on-one with the keeper and then misses again. It's the same story every time. You want to root for him because the work rate is there. The effort is undeniable. But when the big moments come, and they always come in European ties, he just doesn't deliver. You cannot have a striker who bottles clear chances in matches that could be worth 20, 30, 40 million pounds. It's unsustainable. It's dangerous. And if he's still a regular option heading into the group stages, we're going to pay for it. The comparisons to Fashion Sakala are starting to make sense. Bags of energy and action, but lacking that cutting edge when it matters. The difference is Sakala had that chaotic energy that sometimes worked in our favor. With Desers, it just feels wasteful. You watch him get in behind and think, here we go, and then boom, straight at the keeper. Again, Russell Martin. If he's serious about building a Rangers team that's feared across the continent, needs to go back to the board and say we need more. We need at least a striker, a centre-back, and a natural left-back. Because right now we're overloading players in roles they don't belong in, and it's costing us cohesion, confidence, and ultimately control of matches we should be bossing. Now, of course, there's context here. It's still early in the season. New signings are bedding in. The weather in Athens was brutal, no doubt. It took a toll physically. But even with all that the structural flaws in this team are obvious, we're a long way off from being the finished product. And if this is the level of performance we're taking into the next round, where we'll face Victoria Pleasant, we're going to need a serious step up. Yes, Plzen aren't unbeatable. They're not Benfica. They're not Feyenoord or Fenerbahce. But they're not mugs either. They came from behind to beat Servette in Switzerland, and they'll be fancying their chances. We've got the first leg at home on the 5th of August, and if we're not clinical, not disciplined, and not much sharper than we were against Panathinaikos, it could be a rough ride. So yeah, celebrate the result. Be glad we're still in it. But don't let the scoreboard fool you. This team's got work to do, serious work. Because last night might have been enough to scrape by. But the Champions League is ruthless. And if we don't level up fast, we'll be found out. And now looking ahead, you can't help but wonder how this Rangers side is going to cope when the real tests come. Because if you think Victoria Plzen is a walk in the park, you're dreaming. That's a team with structured discipline and the kind of edge in Europe that punishes sloppy teams. What we saw in Athens won't cut it, not by a mile. If we go into that first leg at Ibrox with the same flat tempo, the same lack of energy and control, we're not just risking the Champions League, we're risking our whole European season. Being flushed down the drain before it even properly begins. And let's get one thing straight. This isn't about panic. It's not about being overdramatic. It's about being honest. The margins at this level are razor thin. One bad pass, one defensive lapse, one wasted chance. That's all it takes. And with the way we're playing at the back, those moments are coming thick and fast. The number of times we let runners ghost past our lines without being tracked is frightening. It's like we switch off for 5-second spells, but in Europe, 5 seconds is all it takes to concede. Russell Martin needs to fix that immediately. He also needs to sort out this obsession with playing players out of position. You've got Max Aarons, a right back, struggling on the left. You've got Sautar, who's clearly uncomfortable on the left side of a central pairing. And let's not forget Dow, who's somehow being used as a right winger when he doesn't have the legs, the pace, or the creativity to threaten out wide. That's not squad flexibility, that's desperation. That's plugging holes because the team wasn't built with balance in mind. And it's not like we don't have options. You got guys like JD Gassama who come on and instantly inject life. The lad is electric. direct, hungry, full of confidence. And what does he get a cameo? When he should be starting, when he should be given the platform to grow into a key figure this season. Because based on output alone, there is zero justification for continuing to start Dow ahead of him. Gaysama doesn't just score, he causes problems. He stretches defenses, he brings urgency. And that's what we've been crying out for. You look across the pitch and you just sense a lack of synergy. It's not like we're seeing a team that's just one or two signings away from clicking. It feels deeper than that. It feels like this is still a team figuring out what it even wants to be. There's no defined rhythm, no signature moves, no tactical identity that makes you say, oh yes, that's a Russell Martin Rangers side. It's a bit of this, a bit of that, a few moments of inspiration, and a lot of hoping individuals will save the day. And sometimes that's enough, but it's not sustainable, especially not when you're going into a season where you're expected to fight on multiple fronts. The Premiership starts this weekend against Motherwell, and if we turn up with anything close to the energy we had in Athens, we're getting embarrassed. No question, because domestic rivals know what's at stake. They smell blood. They know the pressure Rangers are under. Every mistake will be pounced on. Every slow pass, every misjudged press, every loose touch, it all gets magnified. And we need to stop pretending some of these players are going to magically turn it around. There are a few names in this squad that have been coasting for a while now. Still getting chances, still starting, still being trusted. But trust in football isn't endless. It has to be earned week in, week out. And if you keep showing up with 5 out of 10 performances sooner or later, the club has to move on. There's no room for sentiment here. We're chasing titles. We're chasing Champions League nights. This isn't a development project. It's a club built on expectation. So let's talk about what needs to happen. And let's not sugarcoat it. Rangers need reinforcements, real ones. A natural left back first and foremost. Someone who's comfortable defending that side, who has the balance and awareness to deal with quick wingers who can offer support going forward without leaving gaping holes behind. Because right now we don't have that. Aarons is struggling. Barisic has one foot out the door. Yilmaz, when fit, has shown promise, but fitness is always the caveat. Then a center back. A composed left-footed option who can play out from the back and handle high-pressure situations. Because Sutar and Balogun are being misused. And it's clear as day, we're bending our entire system just to accommodate players out of position. And that's a recipe for disaster. You don't build stability like that. And finally, a striker, not a project. Not a he needs time type. We need someone ruthless. Someone who, when clean through, buries the chance. Desers is not that guy. He tries, sure, he runs, he fights. But end product matters. That 1-on-1 in Athens was painful. That's a Champions League level chance. A $20 million chance. And it wasn't taken. Again, you can't build around a number 9 that finishes 4 out of 10 chances. The top level demands more. And Dan Oleko, for all his movement and energy, is still finding his way back. He's not at peak form yet. So yes, the transfer window is still open. And that's the one glimmer of hope. The board needs to act and fast. Because make no mistake, if we go into the next tie with this same squad and these same habits, we're not progressing any further. Victoria Plzen will punish us. They'll hit us on the break. They'll play with compact lines and wait for the inevitable mistakes. We've seen that movie before. We know how it ends. And let's not forget what's at stake. Even if we don't get past this next round, we're guaranteed Europa League group stage football. That's something, but it's not where we want to be. It's not where this club belongs. Rangers are a Champions League club. The ambition, the infrastructure, the fan base, everything about us screams European nights under the Ibrox lights. And if we fall short, it won't be because of bad luck. It'll be because of bad planning, because we didn't act decisively in the market, because we trusted the wrong players for too long. And look, I'm not here to slam Russell Martin. The guy's still settling and still learning the dynamics of the squad, but he needs to be bold now. This isn't the time for passive decisions. This isn't the time to be loyal to underperformers. It's the time to make calls that shift the direction of the season. Gassama needs to start. Yilmaz, if fit, needs to be in. Raskin needs to be given more responsibility. And if the signings aren't ready yet, the manager needs to make it clear to the board reinforcements are not optional. They're essential. Fans will back the team. They always have. But they also see the flaws. They see the sideways passing. They see the labored build-up. They see the same mistakes being repeated. And they're not stupid. They know when something isn't working. And the truth is, this current version of Rangers is not working. Not for Europe, not for the league. Not for the level we want to reach. Now there's still time to fix it. That's the one saving grace. The transfer window hasn't slammed shut. The season's barely started, but the warning signs are clear, and if we ignore them, we'll be left behind. Every season has a point where the tone is set. A moment where you look back and say, that was the turning point. This next tie against Plzen, that's the one. That's the game where this team needs to show not just that they belong in the Champions League, but that they can actually compete in it. So Rangers, get your house in order. Sort out the defense. Give your best attackers the minutes they deserve. Back your goalkeeper who's kept you in this. And go into that next tie like you mean business. Because if we show up timid, slow, predictable, like we did in Athens, we're done. But if we show up sharp, focused with purpose and intensity, we can do this. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. In a surprising turn of events that has sent shockwaves through Scottish football, whispers are growing louder about a potential blockbuster move involving Jamie Vardy, the veteran English striker currently at the center of intense speculation. With Rangers is now reportedly being eyed by none other than their fiercest rivals, Celtic. While no official statements have been made, insiders close to both clubs suggest that Celtic is preparing a bold swoop to hijack Rangers' plans and bring Vardy to Parkhead. The idea of Vardy donning the green and white hoops rather than the blue of Ibrox has already stirred a frenzy among fans and pundits alike. Some sources believe that preliminary talks may have occurred between Vardy's representatives and Celtic's upper brass, signaling that this is more than just a passing rumor. With Vardy's proven pedigree, sharp instincts in front of goal, and wealth of Premier League experience, it's easy to understand why both Glasgow Giants are reportedly keen on securing his services. The notion of such a high-profile player potentially joining the SPFL already seemed tantalizing. The added twist of a possible old firm tug-of-war only heightens the intrigue. It remains to be seen whether Celtic's rumored interest will solidify into a concrete offer. Speculation is swirling around the motives behind Celtic's alleged pursuit of Vardy. Some observers claim it's a tactical ploy to destabilize Rangers' transfer strategy, especially given how close the Ibrox side reportedly is to finalizing their own deal with the ex-Leicester City icon. By inserting themselves into the equation, Celtic might be aiming to not only strengthen their squad, but simultaneously weaken their arch-rival's hand. Others see this as a sign of Celtic's ambition under Brendan Rodgers, who may be eager to inject experience and leadership into a relatively young forward line. Vardy's potential arrival could be viewed as a statement signing, echoing the club's desire to not only dominate domestically, but also make a deeper impact in European competitions. While some insiders remain skeptical about whether Vardy would be willing to join the other half of Glasgow, others note that at this stage in his career, the appeal of one final marquee move might prove irresistible. With his contract situation somewhat flexible and his career winding down, Vardy may be more open to unconventional opportunities. The notion of playing in high-stakes Old Firm derbies in front of passionate crowds and amidst intense atmospheres could very well entice a player who has thrived in emotionally charged situations throughout his career. Behind closed doors, both Celtic and Rangers are reportedly assessing the financial implications of securing Vardy's signature. Though well into his 30s, the English striker still commands significant salary expectations, and the deal would require careful structuring to avoid disrupting wage hierarchies within either camp. Celtic's financial might has grown steadily, in recent years bolstered by Champions League revenue and a solid commercial framework. This could give them the upper hand in offering Vardy not only a competitive package, but also the prospect of European nights under the lights at Celtic Park. Rangers, on the other hand, may point to their own resurgence and the promise of a central role in their attackers' key loves. If either club is to pull off this coup, it would likely involve not just a strategic financial gamble, but also a persuasive pitch centered around legacy, ambition, and the chance to etch one's name into the folklore of Scottish football. As agents and intermediaries continue to probe the possibilities, the Glasgow grapevine is alive with whispers. For fans, the mere idea of VARDY choosing sides in the city's oldest footballing rivalry has added a new layer of drama to an already fever-pitched off-season. Fans on social media have wasted no time expressing their opinions on this potential. Twist! Celtic supporters appear divided. Some are thrilled by the possibility of adding a player of VARDY's caliber, citing his pace, finishing, and tenacity as qualities that could greatly enhance their attacking options. Others, however, question whether a player so closely linked with a move to Rangers would be embraced in the East End of Glasgow. For Rangers fans, the rumour has caused no small amount of unease. The thought of losing out on VARDY to their bitter pit rivals is difficult to digest, especially after reports suggested that negotiations were in advanced stages. Debates are raging on fan forums, with many questioning whether their club hesitated too long or offered too little. Some even suspect that VARDY's camp may be leveraging Celtic's interest to extract better terms from Rangers. Meanwhile, neutrals across the Scottish game are watching with fascination, recognizing that such a transfer saga could ignite renewed global interest in the SPFL. It's not every day that a Premier League title winner is linked so heavily with both halves of the old firm, and the tension surrounding this possible move has begun to overshadow most other pre-season narratives. In the days to come, all eyes will be on Glasgow as this simmering rumor continues to unfold. Journalists are scrambling for concrete updates, while supporters dissect every cryptic social media post or airport sighting for clues. The Scottish media is already dubbing this potential saga as VARDYgate, and some speculate that a formal offer from Celtic may be imminent. Whether or not Jamie Vardy ends up in Scotland at all remains uncertain, but what is clear is that his name has become the unexpected focal point of the summer transfer window north of the border. If Celtic succeeds in pulling off this sensational move, it would undoubtedly be seen as a coup, both symbolically and strategically, over Rangers. Should Vardy instead choose Ibrox, the green half of Glasgow may be left questioning what could have been. In either scenario, the drama surrounding this possible switch has already ensured that Jamie Vardy will be one of the most talked about names in Scottish football this season. For now, supporters must wait, wonder, and watch as the future of one of England's most enigmatic strikers becomes the center of a Celtic versus Rangers chess match like no other. Greetings, fans! Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.